I love you people. We are going to make America great again. I love you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Donald Trump live from South Carolina, the latest campaign stop, and you saw it live here on Newsmax. And he went on for about an hour, more or less, and talked about a variety of subjects, some of them over and over, ended on what I guess is a high note, saying that we will knock the blank out of ISIS, although he used the word, and it starts with an S. He did not go after Hillary or Bill when it comes to women. He only mentioned Hillary Clinton, that she lied about the ISIS video that he was involved in. All right, if we could scroll the prompter back to where it belongs. Thank you very much. Rejoining us now, they were here at the start, in case you forget, is Bill Tucker, Newsmax contributor and former CNN reporter, and Tom Borelli, contributor for Conservative Review. All right, so guys, he started with the polls, you know, all the good news he had in the polls, nationally, South Carolina. Hillary lied on ISIS, like I said, immigration, Second Amendment, you'll keep your guns. He was interrupted 3 times by hecklers, one for about, 2 or 3 minutes. What's your overall impression on what took place there, Bill?
Was that fun or what?
It was fun.
That was a great
lot of fun.
Time. He showed a lot of humor. He showed an ability to sort of poke around and make fun of himself. Definitely made fun of his fellow competitors within the Republican Party. And what's interesting to me, Steve, he talked about trade. He talked about China. He talked about budgets. He talked about debt. Those are not crowd pleasers typically, but this audience seemed really, really hungry to hear about that, and I was fascinated by that.
Yeah, Tom, China especially, he didn't relate it directly to the market problems. He didn't mention the market, I don't think, at all. But China has been a common theme of his for a long, long time.
No, certainly China hit the trade with the Oreo cookies. I mean, he mentioned, he covered the gamut. Steve, in your lead, he was having fun, and so was the crowd, which was most important. And his mocking style. I mean, he mocked O'Malley for having one guy at a campaign versus 20,000 that he had here and 20,000 in Vermont. He mocked Lindsey Graham about, beating him because he picked on Trump first. And then Hillary Clinton, he was, relentless on guns, on Iran. He mentioned in the first administration, when Iran was on the ropes, they might have been able to push, the counter people to take over. We wouldn't have any of these problems. And he also mentioned that he never would have went into Iraq. So he covered a number of foreign affairs issues as well.
Yeah, he did. And, I got to tell you, Bill, I was waiting for him to see what he would say about Hillary. He talked about the incompetence of how Obama and Hillary are responsible for ISIS, which I would wish more Republican candidates would actually say. But again, when he got to Hillary, he just kind of threw in there at the beginning, earlier on in the speech, that she lied, and how she said, and he brought up, here's what she said, and I thought he was going to go into the whole sexism. He did not touch that. All he did with regard to her lying, the lie was at the last Democratic debate, she said that ISIS has a video with Donald Trump in it to recruit people, and as Trump pointed out, not only was there no video, but Bill Clinton, for one, is in an ISIS recruiting video. But that's as much as he got to Bill Clinton or Hillary.
Right.
Nothing about the women. Are you surprised, and do you think that'll change? At the beginning of the show, before he spoke, Roger Stone said, that will continue in the fall, quite possibly.
I think Roger's probably right. Unless he needs to go there again, I don't think he's going to go there again. What he did say was, you've got to tell the truth. And Steve, that's a big, broad catch-all phrase. That covers a lot of stuff, so that people who are listening to the speech could think, hey, you got to tell the truth. Don't lie. That includes emails, as well as her conduct in Benghazi and her conduct in the things she's saying about ISIS.
Yeah, Bill, Tom, were you surprised?
No, I think what he does is he's a great counterpuncher. And she threw the first punch, and then he threw a knockout blow. In fact, I think one reporter approached former Bill Clinton and asked him about Juanita Broaddrick and what happened there. I mean, that's the kind of public mocking that he's really setting on stage. So I think, like you mentioned, he's going to hold his fire to when he really needs it. They punch, he's going to counter punch.
And he mentioned immigration. And you know, he kind of goes from one issue to the next and back to the other one, and he's all over the place.
Paris,
And
California.
he only has a page of notes. He does not use a prompter, as he alluded to in the speech as well. No doubt that the crowd loved every minute of it, and that the crowd was supporting him and did not like the interruptions. But they even, you know, Trump even makes that into a fun situation. But, you know, as far as what happened today in the news, he really didn't touch on any of it. The only thing he touched on, as he was talking about immigration, was something that must be a real, as he said, jokingly, but I think it's a real relief to him. El Chapo, the drug kingpin of Mexico, who said he hates Trump and wanted to see something happen to Trump. He's now been captured again by the Mexican authorities. That's the only thing that Trump brought up as far as the news. He did not bring up the shooting of the cop in Philadelphia. He did not bring up the capture of the two, although he did talk about refugees coming into the country, did not bring up the two arrested today, one in California, one in Texas, for supporting terrorism. So he maybe, like I said at the beginning, maybe those events were too quick and they didn't even get to him in time.
Partly, I think it's his style of speaking. It's sort of like witnessing somebody read Ulysses out loud, the sort of stream of consciousness from topic to topic and subject to subject that he goes on. And I was disappointed because he did mention the police, and I thought he was going to get there on it.
Yeah, what about it, Tom? I mean, again, it's not a criticism. It's just the fact we were wondering before it all started. Yeah.
I mean, keeping with the boxing analogy, that really would have been a knockout punch, mentioning that, oh, by the way, as I'm speaking, there was 3 incidents even today because of immigration. And then those dopey Republicans, my word, not his, that they funded the refugee program. So he took a shot at the Republican Congress as well.
And he also talked about the Second Amendment. Yes. And he said that, you will have your guns. I will protect the Second Amendment totally. Did not refer really to anything that took place yesterday. And in fairness, he's traveling around. He's not sitting and watching, although we know Trump to sit and watch TV, certainly. But he did not bring up anything that Barack Obama said at the town hall. He did not bring up what he said to the woman who was raped, who said, I need a gun for protection. And he said, well, guns can be dangerous in the home. So, again, not a missed opportunity, because I don't think the crowd cares or would even think about what we're talking about right now. But it's since we sat here and watched the whole speech, it's kind of fun to see what he included, what he didn't include. And he didn't include a lot of ammunition, no pun intended, on guns, on Hillary, on the refugee problem, and terrorism with the cop shooting getting shot in Philadelphia.
I know, but he did tell us, and he did tell that crowd, your Second Amendment is safe with me, and he painted the Democrats as a bunch of gun-stealing Democrats who are coming after those people's guns. And that's really all he has to do. You feed that red meat issue out there in the heartland of the country where people understand that guns are tools of safety and protection in the right hands. And there are millions and millions of guns out there, Steve, that don't get abused, don't get misused,
of course,
and are used correctly every day.
Tom, he said that he speaks from first he said, I speak from the heart. That's when he referred to the fact he had no prompter. Right. And then he said, well, the brain. He said, well, the brain and the heart. But either way, I think what we're seeing here is, I can't recall. Certainly, Ronald Reagan was a great communicator. But Ronald Reagan, had served as governor, before he became president. And what we're seeing here, in every respect, not the least of which is the manner in which he walks into a campaign rally and speaks with just a few notes for an hour, and the crowd, no matter what he says, no matter how repetitive it might be, just eats it up.
Yeah, he's completely comfortable with himself in his own skin, which is really, really important. And he had the Wizard of Oz going, right? The brain has a brain and he has a heart. and the curtain. And he actually had the curtain. So he had the hat trick. He had the absolute hat trick tonight.
I didn't know what I was...
Your crystal ball.
Yeah, my little crystal ball at the beginning when he came out. And he talked about, really, he knocked Jeb Bush, talking about how he's boring and how he's down, all the way down.
$68 million.
Yeah, well, not only the money, but how he's got 2% in the polls. I really shouldn't talk about him. He knocked Lindsey Graham, but he put Lindsey Graham in a different category, that once they leave the race, he likes these people. And so he said, I like Lindsey Graham, now that he's out of the race. He went after Walter O'Malley, who he said was his claim to fame is he was the mayor of Baltimore. He was also the governor of Maryland, which he left out. But he talked about a real true event, that there was some kind of campaign event, and I believe it was 2, maybe it was 1, person showed up. And he said that O'Malley should just go home. I don't know what the purpose of that was exactly, but he was kind of, he didn't go after, didn't mention Cruz, didn't mention Christie, didn't Rubio in passing because someone said something about Rubio.
Right.
But really, as far as going after the competition tonight, except for Bush, very, very tame, Bill.
He was. It was really interesting because it was almost like he made a conscious decision. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to come out here and kind of keep things smooth, and I'm going to be positive about my own party. I'm not going to attack the people that I know eventually are going to have to be on my side. So I thought he played a real politic kind of move there.
Yeah, Tom?
No, absolutely. And I think, Steve, that goes to your point, what he said about Lindsey Graham. He goes, oh, after they leave, I like them. So you almost seemed like, to your point, Bill, he's trying to rally the crowd, so, his competitors, so that if he does get the nomination, he's fully behind him. But he also had a fun, let's not forget, the mocking the media.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they're miserable.
Yeah, they're stupid, whatever. Yeah, and they were right in
Miserable
front of him.
people,
That's
right
what he
in
said,
front
these
of
people
them.
here. One thing I'm a little confused, and I'm not sure, he kind of repeats the talking points of the Democrats on Social Security, because he said that a lot of the candidates want to take away Social Security, and he said especially, older people who have paid into it. I mean, if he's referring to Christie, who wants to raise the age, and set a cutoff at, if you make $200,000, you're rich, and make that a national standard, then I agree with him. But I'm afraid it also, for those who want to reform Social Security going forward, for the young worker, give them an option to privatize it if they want it, and certainly leave the elderly or people who are 10 years outside of retiring alone. I think he kind of misrepresented that and did the Democrats a little bit of a favor there. Again, if anybody was paying attention, Tom.
Well, the other thing he did, though, with that issue, though, he more or less said, we get more jobs in here, we're going to get more tax revenue. So I think that was his kind of pro-growth angle on that issue.
Bill?
No, I agree, and I would take small exception with what you said, in that he said especially for the older workers. He gave himself a little bit of wiggle room, I thought, in terms of reformation of Social Security for the younger crowd, but he knows that Social Security is incredibly important to millions of Americans.
Yeah, but there's no Republican that even Christie with his cockamamie plan, in my view, isn't saying it would affect anybody 55 or over. So I just think he's implying that there are Republicans that want to take it away from the elderly or change it for the elderly when there really isn't. And I don't know, I'm not sure exactly why.
Well, he and Huckabee got into this too, along with Christie.
One of the debates,
ago.
one of the debates. By the way, there's another debate coming up a week from yesterday. So 6 days from now, there'll be the debate. 4 days from now, I believe we have the State of the Union. So it's going to be an exciting week next week. I want to thank Bill Tucker, Newsmax contributor and former CNN reporter, and Tom Borelli, contributor for Conservative Review. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I'm sure we'll do it again. Thanks for joining us on this special Newsmax TV coverage of Donald Trump's rally in South Carolina tonight. I'm Steve Malzberg. My show airs 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, and America Talks Live, Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern. I hope you tune in. Right now, keep it here from my colleague J.D. Hayworth and his interview with the aforementioned Jeb Bush on Newsmax Prime, so don't you go away.